So a couple of months ago I was asked to commission and create a 3D printed miniature army, so let's check in on how that's going. Let's talk about some sinister cyberdogs, a viciously armed patrol walker, and some rather unfortunate dissidents. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today we're talking Iron Enforcers, the Auspex Tactics channel army that's been taking shape over the past few months. In this video we'll be talking through the new releases with a Patrol Walker Cyberdog Squad and a Stompy Patrol Walker, looking over the range so far and talking about what comes next. For those of you who have been following along, you'll be a bit familiar with the Iron Enforcers by now, aimed to be a brutal grimdark police state miniature range. The miniatures aim to be at least fairly general purpose and could take spots in a bunch of armies, though the overall theme and feel is one of brutal police oppression, being somewhere between peacekeepers from Hunger Games, Thought Police from 1984 and Stormtroopers from Star Wars. Each month on the channel I've been asking you guys as to what should come next, and this time the vote was very clear. Out of the two options for this month, you went for the Robo-Dog Squad and the Patrol Walker, beating out the Jump Infantry, which will be coming out next month. In total, this month's releases are the Constable Patrol Walker, a modular light walker vehicle with a whole bunch of weapon options, the XK9 Cyberdog Attack Squad with 5 sculpts with some modular weapons to mount on their backs, one free miniature STL for one of the Cyberdogs, and also a fun 3-month loyalty reward added for folks who support the miniature range for a few months. This one being some fleeing dissidents and convicts being hunted down by the enforcers. As ever, the miniatures will be available digitally via subscription on Thangs, $7 for all of this month's creations if you use the code ATL30. Let's get to business though and take a look at the miniatures. For the Patrol Walker, the image I had in mind was a big and stompy Patrol Walker with a searchlight as a central design piece, with the thought of these guys roaming the streets and illuminating things out of the darkness, maybe thinking a bit about the tall boys from Dishonored perhaps. With that in mind, here we have the Constable Walker, designed and created by Mr. Spiros as always from across the realms. With a fun bit of lore and background, this one apparently commissioned after a clerk accidentally typed an extra 0 into the funding allocation for an Enforcer Patrol Walker, and as a result, the final design for the machine was given a disproportionate amount of weapons, the rather basic rough and ready design from before being augmented by high caliber cannons, anti-tank grade missiles, and a brutal chainsaw. The engineers fearful of what would happen to them if they didn't spend the entire funding allocation. As a result, these walkers are terrors of the streets, and it's a foolish rebel indeed who declares their intentions in front of an enforcer with one of these. It's considered best to lie low when they're around. The clerk in question was sent for re-education after. We decided to go for the name of the Constable Walker in the end. Seems all very appropriate for a heavily armed enforcer marching across their beat. Thank you for all the other massive amount of name suggestions out there though. We got plenty, including the Threat De-Escalation Suit, the Light Armoured Walker or Law. I did really quite like that one as well. And somebody even came up with a similar idea with the Citizen Loyalty Appraisal Walker or Claw. Thanks to all of you who submitted names for the thing. Can't help but think that a few of these might be good things to steal for one or more future projects. In any case, focusing on the miniature itself, when you've got the files, there's 3 different choices for leg poses that you can print off. The option of a partially enclosed versus the more exposed carapace, 4 primary weapon systems including a solid shot cannon, a laser weapon and energy weapon, and a missile launcher. The parts of these can all be flipped and mirrored if you want to have a dual loadout for both guns as desired, as stylishly modelled by this guy, should hopefully mean that it's quite applicable to a bunch of applications out there. There's also a front-mounted searchlight and chainsaw option, both of which could be assembled without if you'd want to leave them off. It's designed to fit on an 80mm round base. Here you can see a bit more of the front and back of the walker, some nice chains propelling the force of the engine to the legs there, and some turbines and stacks for the power plant. Here's the difference between the armoured carapace and the more open carapace, a sort of roll bar type thing, versus a more enclosed environment if you're concerned about the possibility of a bit of sniper fire as you're on patrol. Finally, here's a shot of all the components together. Here you can see the different weapon options, the crewman, the 3 different leg options, and there's 2 different options for the chain blade as well, either extended, either furled up a bit, or extended ready for cutting. The other main miniature release for the month though is the XK9 unit, and again for this one I thought it could be fun to give a basic choice as to what sort of police enforcer dogs you'd like to see fighting alongside the enforcers. In the last poll there was the option of flesh and blood dog squads, augmented sort of bionic cyberdogs, part flesh and blood and part robot, or a fully robotic sort of Boston Dynamics Cyberdog. Some of the polls that I've done for this army have been really quite obvious. This one was really close though, between the Cyborg Dogs and the fully robot squad. It was a small victory though for the Robo Dogs. So that's what we have here. Maybe aiming to go for just a little bit weird, robotic and otherworldly, maybe like Boston Dynamics type thing. We're also trying to convey something that could potentially be running quite fast after you, bounding through some tight city streets, and potentially mounting a weapon system on its back if you want. These lovely Cyberdoggos come in 5 different poses, with 3 different options for back-mounted weapons that you can just leave off completely if you'd like. There's the choice of a machine gun, a shotgun, and a net launcher, all the better for apprehending and detaining fugitives on the run from the law. Talking of a different kind of law though, the story behind these guys is that regular K9 units were becoming too great an upkeep in monetary costs to their enforcer masters, with the amount of unrest from a disobedient populace out there. Police dogs take a long time to train, and life on the precincts was often short and brutal for them. In a big investment project to save costs on K9 funerals and emotionally damaged operators, the XK9 unit was born. Some of the best remaining police dogs identified and harvested, their DNA used to program a new generation of fully cybernetic companions able to be mass produced and having significant advantages over their flesh and blood counterparts. These XK9 dogs, as per the unit name, are utterly tireless, can mount a variety of weapon systems including the net launcher to apprehend their fugitives, and still have all the great rapport with their operators thanks to their bestest boy behavioural chip hidden somewhere in their nightmarish engineering. In any case, here's the full squad for the XK9 unit, 5 different poses, all very good Cyberdogs, either on the scent of a Auspex or running forward at full pelt, and just as lovable as real dogs of course. As with the Constable Walker, the full squad's available for the subscription on Thangs, and one of these guys is also going to be the free model of the month as well, available to download on Thangs right now. One XK9 Cyberdoggo armed with a machine gun, a loyal doggo who enjoys walks, pats, and the thrill of chasing rebels through heavy traffic. Finally, for new miniature design reveals for this month, we've got a first look at a few of the antagonists of this dystopian future, a few fun poses for some dissident rebels in gas masks, going about their business skirmishing with the police. These guys are basically thrown in as the 3-month loyalty reward for people who have signed up, basically going forward each month. If you've subscribed for 3 months, sometime in that 3rd month, the STLs for these guys will be emailed out, and that'll happen sometime within the next 30 days of it, all on the same day, just to try and keep admin down a little bit. I did quite enjoy these creations of Spiroses. We've got one guy hefting a tattered flag for the revolution, one guy throwing a Molotov cocktail, one unfortunate chap looking like he's about to take a brutal beating with a police baton, one guy running from the law, and the last one coming off second best from an XK9's net launcher. In any case, if you did want to get your hands on the STL designs of these, either to print yourself or to have someone print for you, they're basically distributed by Thangs, the website who owns them. Their thing is basically like a Patreon page, but for 3D printing. It's normally a $10 per month subscription for personal users. That gets you all the STL designs each month, and then after that, the designs are kept on their web store for $20 per STL file. Their idea usually is that the subscription tends to be the better deal for getting hands on them if you wanted to, and there's a discount code of ATL30 as mentioned, which is 30% off for the first 3 months, so basically $7 per month for that. Given that this month's releases are for the XK9 and the Constable Walker, that'll basically get you the designs for those two. Subscribing does put some of the profits towards Auspex Tactics as well, one other way to support the channel, but this one's definitely more of a fun side project to me rather than a main revenue stream or anything like that, compared with things like the channel's Patreon. It really has been quite good fun getting these to roll out over the past few months with all of your guys' ideas and input. Now for the main unit offerings, on general sale we have the standard set of patrolmen with laser SMGs and their special weapons, the Iron Enforcers on Terror Trams, Judgment on Segways with their taser prods, and then the modular transport vehicle in the Oppressor with its front assault ramp and the choice between wheels or tracks. Otherwise, beyond that, to complete the range, there's all these files available completely free to download right now. One XK9 Cyberdog, one Segway Patrolman, one Standard Patrolman with Laser SMG, and one Tank Commander. For the physical miniature offerings, they're currently on hold unfortunately. Hopefully we'll be returning next month if we can get things worked out. These have been available from Wargame Portal for the first month, though basically there's been a few issues with the supports for the Oppressor and the Terror Tram Segways. I will be kind of keen to hear whether or not that's an isolated experience or a few of you guys have been having trouble with that. We'll be interested to hear whether or not we need to beef up the supports or redo them or not. Just based on that feedback, hopefully some new supports for the oppressor vehicle should be out fairly soon. Though we'll definitely be interested in hearing feedback as to whether or not that's been a problem for you guys. For 3D printed miniatures, you certainly can just do your own supports and things, though I think it will be quite nice to be able to offer them knowing they're good for most general purpose 3D printers and not just really quite high end and very finely calibrated machines. In any case, I'll certainly keep you posted as to when physical miniatures will be going back on sale once more. There's also another potential supplier who's expressed some interest called Godforge as well, who's often printed things from Piper Makes and Atlan Forge and a few others. Hopefully there'll be a bit more news on this front in the video update next month. Speaking of which, based on the last poll, basically it was either going to be the Walkers and Cyberdogs in the coming month, or some elite jetpack infantry, and the other one will be coming out the month later. There's been a little bit more progress on the jetpack troops, and here's an early work in progress type shot. Hopefully can be fulfilling the role of an elite SWAT team descending from the skies. There's also one other miniature that should hopefully be coming next month as well. The main offering will be the jetpack troopers, but there should be one more vehicle on offer too. Dig into Mr. Spiros' back catalogue just a little bit to get the enforcers another transport option to ride forward in style in a riot van. Otherwise, besides that, it's time to decide what's going to be happening in the month after these, and given that I did one poll at the very start of the launch for these, I thought we'd redo one more now, a really quite big and general one encompassing a whole bunch of different ideas, and see what's popular now we've ticked off a few of the boxes, even if there's still quite a lot more to do. You'll find that poll links down in the video description. A whole bunch of ideas between exosuits, riot shield infantry, cavalry, bikers, and plenty more. Feel free to let me know which ones you'd like to see most. I'll also leave a free text option for any other fun ideas that you might have. You guys already suggested the assault segways and the cyberdogs, and I certainly feel like they resulted in some pretty cool miniatures. The other thing left over from last time was a question as to whether or not we should redo the oppressor or not, either doing an alternative chassis with a slightly longer profile, given that it was said that it was a bit chunky before. For that poll, we very clearly seem to have said put the design energy into other things rather than a new version of the exact same vehicle. Probably the sensible choice all in all, and I feel like that was maybe something that was raised quite a lot more about the work in progress version versus the finished version with the wheels. In any case, that's just about it for this one. Looking forward to having a good read over all the comments. Let me know your thoughts as to the Walkers and Cyberdogs, any other ideas for new things going forward, or just any feedback in general. Looking forward to hearing everything down in the comments below. Of course, feel free to check out Thangs if you want to pick up free miniature designs, or subscribe for the monthly sub, and help keep all these miniatures coming. In any case, I'll leave that there for this one. I'll certainly be back to the more regular scheduled Warhammer focused content in the next one. I'm certainly enjoying this as a fun little side project. Massive thank you to Mr. Spiros as always for keeping the cool designs coming. In any case, I think I'll leave that there for this one. So a big thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys in the next video.